We're on the same side. When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous. I'm about the past and about the future.
What's up? Welcome back to Draftvice. We're here. It is time. Free agency is, well, almost technically here. It's tampering time.
Yes.
And since it's tampering time, we got our tampering friend. We got, I don't know why I'm calling him my tampering friend. That sounds very disturbing. my tampering friend.
Well, I guess because I'm always around the illegal activities.
Are you? That's,
Yeah. So.
No.
Well, I don't get myself involved with it, but, hey, I'm around shysters all the time. I'm a DJ. What do you expect?
There you go. I brought my buddy DJ Intence on because, dude, it's crazy. We're day one into tampering. I think it's been probably the craziest single day of free agency I've seen since I got into free agency.
This has been one of the most craziest days of football in a while. A lot of crazy moves going on, not to mention some of the moves you talked about on Saturday night. And from Saturday to now, I've just been getting hit over the head with just news after news after news. Just crazy moves that I didn't think see happen. One of the craziest ones we're going to talk to later, but, there's some good moves going on right now. What do you have for us, man?
Well, first off, right off the bat, we released an episode on Monday. We're recording this Monday, but we recorded another episode on Sunday that we released on Monday, and we did some of the franchise tags. So I'm like, okay, they might name a couple of extra players that are getting a franchise tag, but they're not going to name a whole bunch more.
Oh, yeah.
No, they named about 10 more who got tagged.
And some of the very interesting names they tagged, too, as well.
Yeah, well, first off the bat was Dak Prescott. He got tagged.
Oh, man.
Franchise tag by the Cowboys.
That is a bad idea.
Well, it sounded like a Kirk Cousins situation.
It does sound like, and then I think Dak will probably walk after this year because he has all the leverage.
Yeah, and well, what's going to end up happening is this is how you reset the market. Teams keep on letting these guys get to the franchise tag and keep on doing it over and over again, and they go, well, you know what? I'm worth $40 million. Dak's going to get a $40 million contract eventually.
From who though?
Whatever team needs a quarterback that year, unless the quarterback market just suddenly kind of takes a dive because there's just so many of them. But as of right now, he's worth $33 million, right? So he's going to at least make $33 million on a contract.
Exactly.
So, and then not only that, but the Cowboys are only offering him an annual contract of $33 million. They could have had this. This is one of those things where they screwed up, right?
They should have did it last year, and that way you could have had him for this year and beyond. And they didn't do that. They dragged their feet. And I guess for me, it makes it seem like they don't look as Dak like they looked at Tony Romo as far as that, that guy, and it's still an prove-it type nonsense. And I don't think it's going to end up well. Cowboys, you might be in trouble for the next couple of years.
It's a little worrisome because, again, this ties up your cap. And I'm a little shocked they didn't get – I guess maybe what they felt like they were worried with, right, is they felt like – Dak's really good when all the pieces are there, like Andy Dalton, right? I think he's like Andy Dalton, plus. He's like the tier. He's a tier 2 above, but he's like the best version of Andy Dalton. If you gave Andy Dalton everything,
all the right things needed to be successful,
the youth, the ability to do it, if Andy Dalton, when you play Madden, you could add things on the meter and all that. If you added all the attribute points to Andy Dalton, you'd get Dak Prescott. That's the best version of Andy Dalton. Really the best version of Andy Dalton would be maybe Kirk Cousins. But by the way, he got an extension too.
Exactly.
Oh my God, Vikings fans, you guys have had a weird week.
So they got Ryan Tannehill too.
Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot. Yeah, we're gonna get into Ryan Tannehill. That was his deal was crazy. Well, I think I talked about him a little bit on the first week, but we'll go into a little bit because there's so much going on with all.
Yes.
It all affects each other
very much.
But Dak Prescott franchise tag, dude. Cowboys got to get their shit together.
Indeed.
Well, speaking of getting their shit together, they apparently have a deal in place with Amari Cooper. 5 years, $100 million.
That just came down the pipe. We don't know the details yet, but it is 5 years. $100 million. So.
Yeah, so I don't know how much is guaranteed.
Exactly.
That literally came as we were getting onto the podcast, man. This is how fast this stuff's moving.
Just bing, bing, bing.
Yeah, so Cowboys, again, they have to really that was their major guy that they had to sign.
Yeah.
Those are the two guys. At least they have everything locked up, right?
Yeah.
They let Byron Jones walk into free agency. We're going to talk about him in a little bit.
Yep.
But they got the guys who they needed to locked up for the time being. I don't agree. They should have had Dak Prescott signed a year ago.
He should have been signed already. There's no reason to drag your feet on it. I guess they were just waiting for him to prove it, and he played really well.
Well, the problem is like we've seen this where the longer you wait to pay your quarterback, the more you're going to pay.
Exactly.
This is why everybody who like was in his draft class, granted they had another year on their contract, they signed their guys right away. Yeah, like they had a year and a half left on their contracts, 2 years. They had Jared Goff, Carson Wentz. They had a year and a half, 2 years left, and they signed them. And now, granted, that gives those teams more leverage too.
Exactly.
So
for the future,
that was one franchise tag.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you go down the list.
Yeah, there's Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs.
We know that was going to happen.
Yeah, like that was the only way it was going to happen. Yeah. Like they had to get him locked up. They might end up trading him. Like that's the guy they should keep, and they should find a way to get rid of Frank Clark because Chris Jones is amazing. Chris Jones is probably one of the best D linemen in the NFL. That's the guy you want to keep. He's a franchise builder.
So let me ask you a question, because the franchise tag. If I franchise you, that means I get to keep you, and I can still trade you in the future, right?
Only if the player signs the tag. So
okay.
We've seen this before with Le'Veon Bell, and where Le'Veon Bell didn't sign the tag at all for the whole season.
Took a year off.
Yeah, he took a year off. We also saw it last year with Jadeveon Clowney, where he would refuse to sign the tag unless he got traded to a team he wanted to go to. This is what gave him so much leverage with the Texans, right? So the Texans weren't willing to like just sit. They wanted to get something out of him and not just let him walk. So they were like, hey, we'll get a 3 and we'll be able to use this stuff now. Okay. So they got a linebacker and a 3 last year. So they got a little bit out of it. They didn't get like a lot of it. So yeah, they all get they all get price ranged out to like the top 5 of their position. So yeah, Chris Jones, you got Bud Dupree, who outside linebacker on the Steelers. I think this is kind of like a stopgap for them. I actually don't. I think he's like Bud Dupree only recently kind of came on last year, and he was hot and cold still. He couldn't get past Greg Robinson, who's currently in jail. So
that's the guy with the weed.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
It was the one guy who was like on the Browns offensive line who was able to stop Bud Dupree. Like maybe he was just getting Bud Dupree a little lit up. Maybe that was the trick. Like it was like, hey, wait, your name's Bud, right? Hey, I got something for you.
He drops a little bun on the floor.
That's why. And then when they played him the second time around and Robinson wasn't in the game and they were playing McCray, McCray didn't have the Bud magic. That's why it didn't work out that time. That's why Baker kept on getting sacked that second Steelers game. So yeah, then you got AJ Green got franchise tagged.
That one I was kind of taken aback about because I thought they would have traded him.
I'm not shocked. Well, here's the thing: like
you don't get rid of talent. That's my number one rule. You never get rid of talent. So work on something.
Well, I'm shocked because I'm shocked that the Bengals are paying for anybody at this point. That's what I'm shocked about.
They are very cheap.
They don't like paying anything more than $20 million in guarantees, and this is just right underneath it. I think it's gonna be like $18 million in guarantees. So with AJ Green, I think it was. It's a sentimentality thing. They like him. Honestly, he probably wouldn't make $18 million on the open market, but they wanted to keep him. They probably could have just transition tagged him. I don't know why they hit him with a franchise tag, except just to make him seem like not have to deal with the risk of potentially losing him. Okay. Just knowing that some other team would say, hey, you know what, we'll give you more guaranteed money, maybe not as much on a yearly basis.
Okay.
So I don't know. That was I have mixed. I don't think any other team would have done that. I think they did it for the sentimentality. Plus, they're gonna have a first year quarterback. Yeah. They're gonna be drafting a quarterback number 1 overall potentially. Yeah. You're gonna have to watch. There's no live events this year because of a certain virus that's going around.
COVID-19.
Yeah. So stay safe, stay clean,
and wash your hands.
Wash your hands
and avoid touching your face.
By the way, when we did the podcast the other day, it was Brandon Scherf of Washington who got franchise tagged. There's another guard who got franchise tagged, Joe Thuney of the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
This is not a common thing, folks. Most people don't franchise tag guards, but we got 2 of them this year.
You know New England, they do things out the box anyway, so... New
England will franchise tag a kicker most of the time. Like they like doing that. Yeah, it was like, hey, but actually it makes sense with kickers. Apparently with the contracts, it makes sense because like the kicker contracts are relatively low compared to the rest of the NFL. So that's like one of the few positions where it's like, oh wow, we can just keep franchise tagging them. It doesn't matter anymore. So with guards, it's rare because they're getting paid tackle money. Okay. That's why it's almost averaged out to what the top 5 tackles are getting.
Ooh, okay. But I heard they want to get rid of him too. Is that what they want to do, New England, or are they trying to keep him long term?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. I don't know if the rumors are true that they're getting rid of him. Because it's a rough thing to try and trade a guard on a high contract. So unless you had a market for him, in which case, I don't know if they do. I don't know if they have a specific team in mind. So, with a guard, are you really trying to trade a guy with that level of a tag on him? I don't know.
Especially when you're Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, well, Bill O'Brien's probably willing to pay that money. Honestly, I think you just gave them ideas. I think Bill Belichick's going to be calling Bill O'Brien tomorrow, hey, you want to get Joe Thuney on your team? Yeah, no. So, Joe Thuney got the franchise tag. Leonard Williams got franchise tag. That
one was woo, I don't know. But
that was that one that I think was it was the play. It was the this is Gettleman covering his backside because he didn't he traded a third and now a fourth rounder for this player to the Jets, and now it's you got half a season from him. You didn't extend him. You couldn't come to an agreement on a deal, so now you just franchise tagged him.
She's just making something to stick for the time being.
It's making a mistake worse. It's like saying, well, you know what? I painted all this bad. I'm just gonna go ahead and give it another coat of the same ugly color. I have all this beige. I'm going to go ahead and paint this room beige.
Or light brown.
Yeah, it's just so I don't know. It's doubling down on a mistake. That's what he's doing here. I think that's the game plan. I think that's why they went, you know what, we'll go with, we'll franchise tag him. We'll get to buy our time with it. It's expensive purchase price of that time. It's you're talking about in the teens, high teens for this franchise tag.
Really?
Talking about $16 million. For Leonard Williams for 1 year, I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't think he's worth that, but hey.
He could have also transition tagged him. It would have been cheaper. And then, at least would have been able to match the deal.
Okay.
Not as many teams using the transition tag. One team used the transition tag this time around.
They did.
It was the Arizona Cardinals with Kenyon Drake. So, and by the way, they don't have David Johnson anymore. Spoiler alert.
We'll get to there soon.
Yeah. That'll be towards the end of the episode.
When I'm screaming at the camera.
One guy who, by the way, that got franchise tag, we talked about Bud Dupree before, another outside linebacker. This guy I'm a big fan of. Shaq Barrett got franchise tag.
He came out of nowhere, and he deserved his money. So good job, Bucks, for doing that. And hopefully you work a deal out during the season to keep him because he was a monster.
Yeah, he's an underrated guy.
20 sacks?
He was a sack leader at one point last year, right? Did he finish off as a sack leader?
He finished sack leader. I think it was 18 and a half sacks or 20 sacks.
Dude, listen, there was a lot of rumors that he was going to be good. Listen, he was good when he got to play in Denver. And then they drafted Bradley Chubb. So they wanted to play, the top 5 pick along with Von Miller. They had Bradley Chubb. And then Shaq Barrett kind of went to the wayside. So we didn't get to see Shaq Barrett his last year in Denver. So he walks and goes to Tampa Bay and gets paid. Says, I'm going to take a $5 million deal, rocks out that $5 million deal. And then, now he's getting paid for that $5 million deal. Now it's paid off dividends.
Well, I think for that one, he should thank his lucky strike for Todd Bowles. Because Todd Bowles really changed around
Todd Bowles,
defense.
And also the defense, the players around him helped too. I think having Sue and having Vita Vea.
Was Devin White with
Bowles,
them too?
Yes, Devin White was the guy they drafted.
So having those guys around him let him flourish in
I think
Todd Bowles' system. Hey,
yeah,
Todd Bowles is not a bad defensive coordinator as a head coach.
Also, when he was with the Jets, they didn't have the pieces maybe to have a guy like that flourish. I mean, if he was on the Jets, I think he would have done well as well.
Yeah.
So that was Shaq Barrett. You got Derrick Henry.
That one I think is a mistake. I think you guys sign him long term. Don't drag your feet. Just make sure you get it done.
That's the thing. Titans. I don't know what's going on with them. They extended the tackle that Kelly, who replaced Taylor Lewan earlier this season when he was suspended, but they let Conklin walk, and the money that they spent there between extending the one tackle and then tagging Derrick Henry, they probably could have spent,
giving Conklin the money.
Yeah, getting their right tackle, keeping their right tackle, who was probably a bigger part of them being a successful running team.
That Conklin deal.
Well, we'll get into the Conklin deal with the Browns.
I'm mad at Tennessee because you got to keep that intact. Don't let that go. Let it all still stay in there and run the tables back. I'm shocked they didn't get it done.
Yeah, believe me, I don't know why some teams kind of just sometimes they overrate the wrong player. Mm-hmm. This time I think they're overrating Derrick Henry and underrating Jack Conklin.
Yeah.
Speaking of though, there's still one guy who we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about on either podcast. And then I'll tell you the other bunch that I've at least been around. Mm-hmm. There's Anthony Harris. The Minnesota Vikings got tagged.
That's a safety, right?
That's a safety.
He wanted to be there, right?
He wanted to be there, but also this is a team that's like kind of didn't have a lot of money. Even at the time when they tagged him, they technically didn't have the money then. This is why they're probably we're going to talk about a deal they're doing later on. But we already know they cleared out Rhodes and they cleared out Linval Joseph's locker and Everson Griffin is leaving.
Gone,
Dude, they're losing a lot on that defense. So trying to keep anybody around is probably helpful.
Well, we'll see. I like I said, I know he wanted to stay. So hopefully he'll structure a team-friendly deal. We don't know yet. Hopefully they get something for him. We'll see.
And he's not the only safety who got a deal. Again, yesterday we went over Justin Simmons, who's also a safety, got a deal, got a franchise tagged. Matt, and just to give you a quick rundown of the other guys. Previously we talked about Judon, Yannick Ngakoue, Hunter Henry, and Brandon Sheriff. Honestly, tight ends, man. Tight ends are, I think, the underrated ones that get hit with the franchise tag because the highest paid tight end is still a lot cheaper than the highest paid receiver. Even think about it, Larry Fitzgerald's getting paid $13 million this year.
Really? Still?
Yeah, he gets paid $13 million every year. He does his 1 year deal. Yeah, maybe it goes down to 12. I don't know, but But you're still talking about an average of 12 to 13 million. And meanwhile, the highest paid tight end, we're going to get into that, is Austin Hooper. It's $11 million on average.
Wow.
Hunter Henry here is 10.5. And you think about that, there's some value. That's why Bill Belichick loved tight ends because you were able to keep the value down. Because there wasn't a whole bunch of really talented ones. So when you had the talented ones, you were in a really good position.
So is this the reason why Jimmy Graham wanted to change the whole landscape and the league kind of fought against him with the Saints? Because remember he didn't
have the leverage.
Yeah, he wanted receiver money, but he didn't really get it. He got tight end money.
Exactly.
And he should have gotten it at the time, but he didn't get it.
Yeah, so that was all the franchise. That was just tags, everybody. Yeah. And then after noon today,
oh man,
tampering period opened. Before even tampering period opened, there was news because the Packers signed Christian Kirksey.
Yeah.
Starting today, the linebacker of the Browns, and now he's going to be the linebacker of the Packers. But one of the big deals that caught my eye, I'm going to start off right with this, is the Eric Armstead deal. San Fran gave Armstead an extension, $85 million extension, man.
How much is guaranteed? Or they don't know yet.
I don't know if the details are out on the guarantees yet, but then they traded DeForest Buckner. So I think they're probably in DeForest, and they traded him to the Colts. For a first rounder.
And the Colts just bolstered their defensive line again. So this is where you can't have enough of one thing. To me, that looks like.
I mean, this is one of those deals that makes you go I think it was a good move on part of the San Fran because they just, first off, they only had one pick in the first 5 rounds. Now they're getting a top 15 pick. That's a big deal.
How old is Buckner?
Well, he's still on the rookie contract, so I think he was 25.
Really?
Yeah, that was.
So that's a good move for the Colts because you got a surefire talent.
When they did the trade, they did an extension, so they have him for 3 years, $21 million.
Smart Colts.
3 years, $21 million average on the deal. Sorry.
Who's he paired with in the Indy right now? The other interior lineman.
Well, I know they have Justin Houston still. I think Jabal Sheard is walking in free agency. There was Ben Bonnigu. Was that the guy that they drafted as well? They had a couple of different guys in there. I know Hankins went to the Raiders after 2 years ago. They have a good mixture of guys on that defensive line, but they haven't had a star. They had late stage Justin Houston, who's played really well for them. But now you have a surefire. Yeah, you have a surefire player there. It's not a good year for pass rushers in this draft. It's not a good year for D linemen. Like maybe, and by the way, D linemen take time to develop. Like they do. You know, like
not everybody could be Nick Bosa.
Exactly. Well, also he's an edge.
Yeah.
And there's probably one good edge in this class, and that's Chase Young, Bosa's former teammate.
Yeah.
So when you're picking in the middle, you're probably going, well, what's the best D lineman I can get for a trade, and I can just bolster my defense, and that's what they got. They said, let's go for DeForest Buckner. We'll trade him our first-round pick. There's not a D lineman we want. And we'll draft a receiver in the second or third round.
Which the receivers there's plenty of, so.
Yeah, there's very little edge presence in this draft and very little interior. You know, there's 2 guys who I like in this draft, but there's still, or 3 guys. I like Jordan Elliott. I like Javon Kinlaw. I like Derek Brown. But I don't think they're going to give you the right-away impact that DeForest Buckner's going to give you, especially if they're making a run towards a certain quarterback who used to be on the Chargers.
Or that guy over in New England.
That would be the other one, yeah. So if they're making a run for an antique quarterback, I mean an older quarterback, then they might want to make sure it's a win-now team and make it like kind of fluffy. Like, oh, we got a win-now team over here. You guys might want to come over here. We got a great offensive line.
That's what I'm going to say. The Colts' offensive line is phenomenal. And you have weapons across the board. So you have a system there. You just need somebody to throw the ball.
Yes, they just extended Costanzo. They got Quentin Nelson. They got Ryan Kelly in the middle. I mean, that is a good offensive line. So
very good.
Yeah, and now they got some defensive weapons to kind of help with that too. So I like what San Fran's doing. You can't keep the whole band together, right? No. That's just kind of the problem.
That's the problem with free agency.
And that's the problem with being so good is eventually you don't get to keep everybody.
Because someone's going to pay for you. And are you either going to take the money or stay home for a cheaper price? Sometimes you take the money, sometimes you stay home.
Exactly. So let's move on to another team. This team was very, very involved today. The Dolphins.
Oh, man. Woo. Listen, Brian Flores, I know you're going to turn some heads. And you turned some heads last year.
Well, I think that was it. I think that's why they had a lot of interest coming down to Miami. Yeah. Also because Florida has the tax situation. No income tax on that. So it's they're making a lot more money going down to Florida. So you have Florida a double
Texas,
benefit.
Right? They have no state income tax, right?
There's a few of them that I think that have it. I don't know if it's just Florida and Texas, but that those are the big ones that everybody likes because there are 3 teams in each of those.
Yeah.
So with going to Miami, first off, there's 4 players that I know of as of this moment. Right, we don't know who else is signing up with them now, but there was Kyle Van Noy, Byron Jones, Shaq Lawson, Eric Flowers. One of those names feels a little awkward, but the rest of them were great. Eric Flowers, he's going to be up there. He's going to be over there as a guard at $10 million a year. I think some of his success came from Brian Callahan. Yeah. And so we'll see if he plays well for Miami. It's not that expensive of a deal, a $10 million deal. It's a lot if you're paying him to be a guard,
right? Yeah.
If he hasn't been great at guard, but it could end up being a steal eventually. You never know.
Well, he played well when he transitioned to guard in Washington, and he did his thing. So,
but we're going to talk about some guys who got cheaper deals. And now he's also a young guy.
Yes.
So we're seeing some development with him now. Maybe that development takes more steps forward as the game is finally slowed down. Now in the 4th or 5th year of the league. Again, it's a 3-year, $30 million. So averaging $10 million a year.
Is it fully guaranteed? Or we don't know.
No, not fully guaranteed. I think it's only like the first year and a half is guaranteed. Same thing with Shaq Lawson. Shaq Lawson's I think it's the first 2 years guaranteed.
Okay.
He's another one, $10 million a year for 3 years. They're going a lot on these like $10 million 3-year deals.
Now with Shaq Lawson, he was a very important piece of the Buffalo Bills, part of that defensive rotation front. So when I look at him going to Miami, he's going to start. He knows already. Because he wasn't starting it in Buffalo.
Well, I think he's going to be the Trey Flowers role on this defense.
Okay.
Like how Trey Flowers was in New England. He's going to be the Trey Flowers, and then Kyle Van Noy is going to be the Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah.
And then you got Byron Jones who's going to be the Stephon Gilmore.
Now, Byron Jones, to me, that one would kind of threw me for a loop because I don't look at Byron Jones like a shutdown corner per se.
But he's versatile.
He's versatile. He's more of like you're not getting the ball corner. If you get what I'm saying, where he's not going to get picks. He's going to get knockdowns, but he's going to cover the guy well where you're not going to get the ball to him. So he does his job, but he's not with no flair.
Well, keep in mind, this team also has Xavier Howard, too.
Yeah, that too.
That's going to be crazy between the two of those guys.
And Brian Flores knows his coach because he coached these guys up. And without anything, they made a good run at the end of the season. All the games were competitive. So I'm looking at the Dolphins like, you might be the division winner coming up next year or 2 years between you and Buffalo. Them and New England, those three teams are going to fight for that top seed. The Jets, I'm sorry, you're done.
Yeah,
you're done. There's no
you
need.
You never know.
You know, there's no. Listen,
once they get rid of what's his name, once they get White Eyes, Bright Eyes,
our head coach, but you're done. You're screwed. But those three teams are going to fight for that spot because I think now people are seeing that New England charm wearing down. And they're going to make runs.
And Miami's got assets and assets to spare.
Yes.
So
and they have picks for Wazoo. So now you can trade some picks to get some key pieces now if you wanted to.
Yeah. They got a lot of picks. They've signed a lot of interesting guys who are on interesting deals too.
Like you said, that $10 million.
Yeah, a lot of not very Byron Jones's deal is very expensive.
Mm-hmm. $17 million.
Yeah, on annual, so average. So that one's going to be expensive, but you know what? It kind of fits what they want to do. They want good coverage guys. They want to be able to rush you with the blitz and kind of catch you off guard. They're going to get Shaq Lawson. They're going to have Christian Wilkins. They have Kyle Van Noy now. Maybe they get a couple of other guys down there on that D line and bulk it up. Maybe some hog mollies. Maybe get like a nose tackle and really play the run with those guys, and then have the other guys kind of like push the pocket and have Van Noy rush. I think it's going to be an interesting team to watch. I like all the signing, not all the signings clearly, but at least see where they're going. Like there's clearly a strategy, right?
Direction.
That is, they have a vision that is important. And again, they have 3 picks in the first round this year.
That's what I asked you. How many picks they have this year? Because I know they have a slew.
They have 3 picks in the first round, 2 picks in the second round. They got 2 picks next year in the first round, 2 picks in the second round.
There you go.
They got plenty of weaponry to just keep on building up this team to be an annual contender once they figure out their quarterback situation, whoever that may be.
Well, there's a guy in New England who's kind of dangling out there.
I don't know. I don't know about that one. I think they're still a year out from being a true competitive team. I think they will be competitive.
Yes.
But I don't know. I do not see them being I think Brady needs to go to a team that is ready to make it to the playoffs and make a run for it now.
Now?
And I don't see them being that team.
We'll talk about it later on.
Let's talk about a team that did make it to the playoffs, that's been doing a bunch of trades, signed one guy, but they also traded away a guy, the Ravens.
Yes.
Baltimore signed Michael Brockers, or has agreed to terms with Michael Brockers.
Because we're in the tampering period.
Yeah, you can't just sign people who technically aren't free agents yet. Packers did with Christian Kirksey because he was released.
There you go.
But Michael Brockers, free agent, has agreed to terms with the Ravens. But they also traded Hayden Hurst to the Falcons for a second-round pick.
Well, they traded Hurst because he was a extra commodity they didn't need.
They drafted him in the first round a couple years ago.
Was he with the draft with Lamar Jackson too, right? 2 years ago.
They drafted him ahead of Lamar Jackson.
Exactly. So I'm like, all right. But then you got Mark Andrews, who was a stud for them.
They have a lot of tight ends on that roster.
So there's no need to have Hurst. I have no disrespect to Hurst. You're great. But when you're just expendable, these things happen.
And this was an opportunity. It was say, hey, let's get. They were shopping around. They found somebody who needed a tight end.
Because
the Falcons.
They lost
Austin Hooper to free agency.
To your team.
Yes. Well, that's what we're gonna get to next. We're gonna get to the Cleveland Browns.
Lovely Browns.
The lovely Browns and all their dealings so far. The last thing I want to talk about. Well, we already talked about Calais Campbell being traded to them for a 5th round pick.
He went to where?
He was from Jacksonville.
I think he's from Jacksonville, but I think he got traded to
Baltimore.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. So,
like I said, they're pick right for that.
Yeah. Everybody's helping out the Baltimore Ravens.
Listen, the Ravens. That's why.
They needed the help.
That's why when I look at Des Bryant at the time, you should have went to Baltimore because Baltimore loves getting older players and making their career stretch a little bit longer, and they do well.
And they extended Calais Campbell. I think he's gonna be an interesting part. Their D line is gonna be scary now.
Yes,
that D line was not scary last year and it was still good.
Yeah.
Now it's gonna be kind of scary. It's a game of war between all these teams in the AFC North. Speaking of AFC North war, Cleveland Browns had a couple of deals that they made. We talked a little bit about Austin Hooper of the Atlanta Falcons. Well, now he's going to be a Cleveland Brown, averaging $11 million a year. They really front loaded the contract. I think they front loaded the two major contracts they did today, which was Austin Hooper and Jack Conklin, right tackle. Which, by the way, yes, they needed a tackle. The funny thing is they still haven't released Hubbard, who's the right tackle who they had play last year, who was signed under Dorsey. So
is he going to be for depth, or do you think they're going to release him?
I think they're either going to trade or release him. Find somebody else who wants him, maybe for like a pick or something.
Low round pick, I assume.
Yeah, maybe or a pick swap in the draft or something. So get something out of him, or they'll release him. Either way, or make him compete. Who knows? So with him, I don't think that's that big of a deal. I like Conklin, especially because now you're rounding out that offensive line. You got Baker some time. You're getting a tight end who's also a good blocking tight end, Austin Hooper. I was saying before, again, like with these tight ends, there's almost a market inefficiency for how much tight ends make because the franchise tag only caps them at about like $10.5 million for Hunter Henry. So Austin Hooper's getting $11 million a year on average, and
he's the highest paid now, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens next. That's what I want to ask you. Like, so what do you think they're going to do with Njoku? Is he? He's going to
be. Well, they run a lot of two tight end. That's what Stefanski's offense had, a lot of two tight end sets.
So they're going to do what they did in New England when they had Aaron Hernandez and Gronk,
or what they did in Minnesota with Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph.
And Kyle Rudolph was questionable to walk too, right, or to cut him.
Well, that was what they were saying, and then they kept him, and I think they restructured his deal last year.
Okay.
But they kept him, and then it ended up being a great thing because he ended up winning them a game in the playoffs. So,
there you go.
But that there's something to the two tight end set that it lets you dictate the offense. It lets you dictate. It lets you dictate the defense. It lets you, hey, we're running two tight end sets. Now your guys got to compete with our, you guys are going to be running up against their linebackers. Plus their receiving core's pretty good too. You got Odell and Jarvis, but both of them have dealt with injuries recently. So you have some backup plans now. Like you saw it with a lot of what the Browns are doing. You're going to see them kind of mock what the Philadelphia Eagles had done previously.
With two tight end sets?
Two tight ends, maybe even three tight end sets. But also with the third signing they did today, they signed Case Keenum.
Yes.
And I was saying that I tweeted this out earlier. I think Case Keenum might end up being the Nick Foles of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like you might end up seeing Baker Mayfield go down in the playoffs, and then Case Keenum walks in and gets into the Super Bowl, which would be insane. But I can totally picture this ending up happening, and then everybody's gonna be pissed in 2 years when they trade Case Keenum for like a third-round pick and they keep Baker. But it's gonna happen. I'm telling you guys, it's gonna happen.
I think the Casey Keenum deal was a good deal because you're going to hold Baker accountable now because he can't play around anymore.
Well, I don't even think it's about holding him accountable. I think, it's getting a guy in there who can compete, who can play.
Push him.
Yeah, who can push him, but also knows the playbook. Like he knows Kevin Stefanski. He has a relationship with the head coach already. He kind of has an idea of that offense.
Is that the same offense? Oh, my God.
Kubiak.
Yeah. Because Casey Keenum was there.
Yeah, so...
Them, yeah.
So all these guys, like they're all these what's it called? I don't know why I just did that. Like a weird tongue thing.
Brain fart a little bit.
Yeah. So so they like again like they like using the two tight end. Okay. So we're talking about Case Keenum.
Yes.
Again, it's a situation I think a lot like the Eagles, where you have a good backup like Nick Foles, who might be able to win you a few games if your starter goes down, who also happens to know the offense, who has a relationship with the coach, who can help the starter get prepped and get ready to be the starter. 10 years in the league, some experience with the offense, and a very similar style quarterback where, again, if you're playing them in a game and one guy goes down, you have a guy who could step right in and still win you the game. And the deal is relative. Like I know people looked at it and they go, "Well, it's $6 million on average per year. It's a 3-year deal." I don't see him making it to the end of that contract. I think the game plan here is to trade him at the end of the contract and get picks for him.
Who, for Casey Keenum?
Yeah, like because he $6 million.
Is he like 32 years old though, or 31? How old is Casey Keenum?
It might be 30 at this point. Maybe he's 31. But even still, like, you're talking about like 32, 33. That's still like Ryan Fitzpatrick's much older. Eventually you're gonna have a team that needs a bridge quarterback, and the Browns are gonna be like, wait a second, we got one of those just sitting on the back of our roster.
You want him? We can give it to you.
Yeah, exactly. So it gives you that opportunity to say, like, hey, we have this backup plan. If Baker doesn't work out, if an injury happens to Baker, if a catastrophic injury happens, you have a 3-year backup plan. Who might not even be there for the full 3 years. You might trade him next year, pending, hey, another team needs again, a stopgap player, or say a team, remember a few years ago, Bradford got traded for a first-round pick.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, from the Eagles to the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah. Sam Bradford, by the way. That's the guy who's hustled out the NFL for years.
Millions and millions of dollars.
He just seems to keep getting paid every year. I don't understand why teams keep paying him.
So right before we started doing this podcast, so much information came out, but one big deal that came up were the Raiders, right?
Yes.
Marcus Mariota has agreed to terms with the Oakland Raiders.
Because you told me that one, and I was like, really?
Yes.
And I had to look it up. I was like, well, he's going to the Raiders. So I'm looking, okay, Derek Carr.
He might Ryan Tannehill, Derek Carr. He might do exactly what Mariota did to him, which is a very big possibility. Derek Carr has been kind of stagnant on the Raiders. He hasn't been challenged. Mariota would be a good fit in that locker room. Mike Mayock loved him coming out in the draft. He's a very good leader. Players love him. He's been injured a lot. So this, again, it's a very similar situation to him and Tannehill. You're going to get him, he's going to get to be on the West Coast. He's going to be closer to his father. Another friend of another guy who's been on the podcast consistently has stated, like, he's had some family issues. His father's been relatively ill. So, that gets him closer to being near home, is being in Vegas. And again, like, you have a team that maybe he could fit exactly what they're looking for. It's weird because this is the first, like, free agent quarterback domino to fall, and I thought he would be one of the last ones to fall. I thought Rivers would be the first one to fall.
Yeah, well,
or Brady.
Listen, there's 2 guys out there still waiting. They're still searching.
So you got Mariota over there. They signed Kwiatkowski, who's the linebacker, Nick Kwiatkowski of the Bears. They signed him to a relatively cheap deal.
Didn't they just cut a linebacker? The Raiders?
They did a couple of weeks ago, yeah. So I think the idea here is, A, they're upgrading, but B, I think what's going to happen here is that, the linebacker market's about to take a spike, right? You got Corey Littleton out there, who I think they were still rumored to be interested in Corey Littleton, but his deal's going to be big. He's going to probably be a $14 or $15 million linebacker.
Yeah.
So between Corey Littleton being out there and Joe Schobert, a lot of these teams went after the discount guys first, which was actually kind of shocking, right? You would think they were going to go after the big ticket guys, but the guys who got swept up off the market were the guys who went for the cheaper contracts. One of the things I forgot to mention, when we were talking about the Browns, the deal for Jack Conklin was relatively cheap. It's only about $14 million a year, but a lot of it's front loaded. It's $20 million in the first year guaranteed.
Really?
Yes, $30 million guaranteed. So you're talking about, like, he's going to be back on the market at 28 years old, or he's going to be able to at least renegotiate his deal in 2 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, you're talking about, or they can trade him, or they've developed somebody behind him. So
and put him in his spot.
So this is I think there's a strategy to these 3-year deals. You're saying, hey, we'll give you less money, but you get to be back out on the market sooner, which is, I think, the strategy with those 3-year deals. And plus, then you get a comp pick for when they walk.
Do you think that Tennessee could have been able to match that deal, or were they cash strapped too as well for Conklin? Or did Conklin want to get the heck up out of there?
Well, it wasn't like they had the opportunity to match him at this point. I mean, I guess they could technically still match it. It's still technically not free agency. It's tampering period. So with the news of the deal, they could go with him and say, hey, do you really want to be back? Here's the same deal. But I think they're a little more cash strapped than I think that might be a little hard to follow through with that $20 million in that first year kind of deal, that's a lot. $20 million in the first year of a deal. But because the Browns have a lot of rollover cap, they can do it. So, the owner's not afraid of spending money. I mean, I think he's paying like 17 coaches to be head coaches on the Browns. Yeah, those deals are guaranteed, folks. So I think he's still paying half of them.
He doesn't care.
Don't care. He got all the money, man. He's just like throwing it. Dough.
You get paid. You could be a coach. You could be a coach. You all could be coaches.
So yeah, that was the one of the big things that happened before we got on. And now let's talk about the other big one.
Are you gonna go there now?
Let's go to Stephon Diggs.
Okay, Stephon Diggs is going to the Buffalo Bills.
The Buffalo Bills.
The Bills gave up a hefty price for him.
They did.
They gave him a first, a fourth, a fifth, and 2021's fourth-round pick, right?
Yeah, it's
What is it?
Yeah, right here. A first, a fifth, a sixth, and a 2021 fourth.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the Bills get a guy that can stretch the field.
They get a good receiver. I was shocked that they were the ones who spent it. I thought it was going to be the Patriots.
Really?
I really thought, because the Patriots need a receiver. They need a real receiver. They need a guy who's not Edelman. They need somebody who's not just like, the slot guy who's kind of a quarterback technically, who used to be a quarterback.
They got N'Keal Harry. I guess they're gonna wait till he flourishes or whatever.
I'm sure that's going to work out so well for him.
And you got Philip Dorsett still, New England. Okay, you don't really need
Dorsett, the guy who ran 4.33 and still doesn't look like he runs that fast ever on the field. Like he just never gets any separation.
He did have Benjamin
ever.
Watson, but he retired.
Yeah, 92-year-old tight ends. Yeah, their old tight end Gronk went ahead and just decided to sign up with the WWE.
Yes.
So I think this is a good deal for both teams.
It is, because Diggs wanted to get out of Minnesota. He was tired of it.
And Minnesota needs to rebuild. We talked about it before.
They're cash-strapped.
They're cash-strapped. They have 3 guys who are gone. They have a bunch of guys who are gone in free agency. They lost they cut Rhodes. Mm-hmm. Everson Griffin opted out of his contract.
Yes.
Linval Joseph, we already talked about. But they also lost Trey Waynes. Mm-hmm. They're losing the slot corner that was there too. Not Captain Munnerlyn, the guy who replaced Captain Munnerlyn. But they're losing a bunch of cornerbacks. So basically, when we were talking before about the franchise tagging Harris, it was like, good thing because they don't have anybody left. So trading away Stephon Diggs, you get an extra first-round pick now. Yes. You got a couple of fourth and fifth-round picks.
The Bills paid for the price, but you do have a quality player.
Yeah,
and he's going to be the surefire number one.
Now there's one big problem.
What's the big problem?
You got Josh Allen throwing you the ball.
But Josh Allen got a big arm. Let the ball go. You have a guy who can get the ball now for them.
Yeah, except it's like if you having a big arm is not great when you can't accurately throw it. Right? Like that's a problem.
Listen, be careful. I got guys in my group chat might beat you up for that now.
I forget. We have Bills fans.
Yes, there's some Bills fans. But it's a good deal. Because like I said, Diggs wanted out.
100% love the deal. And honestly, like I think that I like Diggs. I like all the players that the Bills have that aren't Josh Allen. So maybe they could trade Josh Allen for Josh Allen and they have Josh Allen. I don't know. There's all the Josh Allens in the league.
There's a lot of Josh Allens in the league. Yes, there is. Now, with the Bills and the Diggs deal, who else do they have for receivers locked in?
John Brown, Cole Beasley,
the
Seth
tight end.
Roberts.
What's the tight end's name again?
Oh, Dawson Knox.
Yeah, Dawson Knox.
I like Dawson Knox.
Yeah,
I think he might take that step forward. He might be like that.
Because he was doing numbers last year for them. So they're going the right way. The Buffalo.
Yeah, they got Devin Singletary at running back.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like they weren't going to get the receivers that were in this draft that are gonna be good, like the ones that the 3 like blue chip guys that you think
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, there's 3 guys. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a deep receiver class.
Yes, there
but
is.
The top 3 guys are just a different echelon. Mm-hmm. It is CeeDee Lamb, it is Henry Ruggs, and it is Jerry Jeudy. Whichever order you want to put them in, I will probably not dispute you because everybody probably has their own reasons for why they put them in those orders. But those 3 guys. They're studs. I don't think any of those 3 are falling to 22.
No, they'll be gone by 15.
Yeah, so getting rid of your first round pick to get a guy who's legit, probably one of the top 5 route runners in the NFL. Now, honestly, I think the Vikings now have to take a receiver.
Yeah,
that's almost a guarantee.
Yeah, they're gonna take a receiver in second round or third. They're gonna have to take one because you lost Diggs, and that's the thing I always said. I don't believe in trade away talent, but sometimes things happen and you have to make the deal, and I can see why they did it. But if I was an owner for no, you're staying because they're too good. You have Thielen, you have Diggs, you have a great wide receiver tandem right there. But not no more, so we'll see. But now Buffalo gets a primary number 1 because they didn't have one before. And
hold on. I also have one big deal about the Bills.
What?
They signed A.J. Klein, linebacker from the Saints. Yeah, I just wanted. I was like, that was the throwaway one. Keep on. I'm sorry about interrupting you.
You on defensive side they're good, Buffalo is a really good team. They mold up their head coach pretty well, and they're gonna make some noise because between Buffalo and Miami, New England fans, you gotta be nervous because they're coming. These teams that you've been stomping for years are coming for your head. Good luck.
It's true. Once one of those two teams gets a quarterback, they'll actually be dangerous.
Listen, Miami
might get a quarterback. Miami might have a quarterback on that roster. Like Fitzpatrick sometimes plays pretty well. They also got that Josh Rosen kid, and they might draft Tua.
They could, but there's a guy who, like I said, was from New England. He's kind of looking for a team right now. Who knows? We don't know.
I think they're better off getting a guy in the draft because they're still going to have rollover cap. They're going to go into next year with probably $100 million still in cap space and be able to sign more guys.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think next year's their year. Next year's going to be Miami's year. This year's going to be the year where you're seeing like, okay, this is where they need to bulk up. This is where they need to fix it. But Miami still has another year left. The Bills, I think, are at least a perennial playoff team.
Yeah.
I was shocked they didn't re-sign Shaq Lawson, but to be honest, I think to them, $10 million a year was a little rich.
Because, like I said, he's a rotational player. I'm not giving a rotational player $10 million. So he was a commodity that they can get rid of. They're gonna either draft somebody high in the first round for a defense and get a receiver second round, or they might go vice versa. Who knows? But they have depth at that position.
I have a question. Do you believe in losers in free agency?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Now, do you think of it strictly as the team that overpays for somebody who they probably shouldn't pay for?
Yes. Or there's a person that gets sent to some place. I'm like, what are you doing? That's what I call losers. But yeah, there's some losers for teams that overpay.
I think there's
players.
Already a big loser in free agency this year.
Well, I'm not gonna. If you go there, I'll let.
No. I think you have a different one. I have a different one than you right now.
Go ahead.
Because it's next on my list. I think the Lions.
Yes.
Okay, so there's one player they signed I don't mind, and there's one player they signed I kind of go like, didn't you just have a guy who was better than that on your roster?
There you go. Go ahead.
The Lions just signed Jamie Collins. Kind of like Jamie Collins. I think he fits what they want to do. They have familiarity with him.
See, with Jamie, that's the
Matt
thing.
Patricia knows it's not the same thing as when he was out on the Browns. This is like one of those things we kind of saw coming. I can see him fitting in Matt Patricia's defense. So I'm not, and the deal's not that expensive. I think it's a $10 million a year deal. Again, these linebacker deals are all over the place. It's very hard to keep track of. Like with all the ones we've said so far, they're not big money deals. There hasn't been a big money linebacker deal yet. So Jamie Collins, I don't mind. They cut Ricky Wagner. They had Graham Glasgow walk in free agency. And then they signed Haloti Vaitai, who was the backup tackle on the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not saying he's going to be bad, but
you already had somebody there.
And then you paid him more. You paid him an average of $10 million a year. It's a 5-year deal on an average of $10 million a year.
It's $50 million? That's over the contract? Really?
Yes.
Wow.
5 years, $50 million. Now, maybe it's not all guaranteed. It's probably not all guaranteed.
So, now, here's a question now. Does this move let you know what their plans are for Matt Stafford?
I don't think so. I honestly think Matt Stafford's staying. I'm not one of those people who thinks they're getting rid of Matt Stafford.
You think they're going to draft Tua at that top spot?
I think they've been trying to pump up the price so they could trade down, get some picks, and be able to draft extra players this year in the draft, and and get to stock up on spots that they need stocking up on. I think their best draft would be able to be trade down and still be able to get Jeffrey Okudah or Isaiah Simmons.
Okay.
I think that would be their best draft, and keeping Slay. I know they missed. I think there was rumors of them going after Byron Jones. That didn't happen.
Well, Miami came and swooped that out the water.
Everybody was rumored to go after Byron Jones. I think the Jets were rumored. Jets have signed one guy so far in free, or have agreed to terms with one guy in free agency, and it's Fant, the tackle from Seattle. So,
well,
but I honestly think, but not for nothing, not doing something early on in free agency is a good way not to lose free agency.
Okay.
So I think Lions, on the other hand, signing a $50 million deal with a tackle who's been
a backup.
Who hasn't been starting consistently. Now, listen, that deal can end up outplaying itself, right? If he ends up being a good lineman for them.
If, you said. If.
Then, you know what? And depends also what position he plays on that offensive line, right? They got Taylor Decker. They got Frank Ragnow. Now you have Haloti Vaitai. Maybe you fill out the other two spots on the offensive line. Either, if somebody who's already on the roster or in the draft. you know what? Maybe, like Tyrell Crosby, who's on their team. So maybe they do have an offensive line that's formidable there. But seeing the guys that have left and then seeing the guy that they pulled in, if he plays well, he's outplaying his contract. It's a good gamble contract, and I think when we get details on the deal, we'll probably see that it's not overly guaranteed. They might probably be able to get out of it relatively early. So I'm not a huge fan of it.
Well, it's funny that you said about losers. I've never been a fan with teams taking New England Patriots players in the free agency pool because it always never pans out for some reason. They do wonders in New England, they leave, and then they're just back to being bums, and they go back to New England and they're fabulous. So when I look at Jamie Collins, I'm like, okay, you went to Cleveland, you did okay, but you weren't the man. You went back to New England, was almost defensive player of the year, and now you're gonna go to the Detroit Lions. I'm like, okay, Patricia's familiar with you, who you are. Who knows what's going to happen? We'll see. I've never been a person to give New England players the shot outside New England, especially if you flourish in New England, because it never goes well. Look at Chris Hogan.
I give them the opportunity. Well, Chris Hogan played okay when he was on the Bills, but
but then he went to
New
England.
He was when he got out of New England, he went to the Panthers. He was like 30 something. He was he's ready to start like retiring basically from the NFL. I mean, he was ready to retire from the NFL before he was even in New England. So. I make fun of old players all the time, and it's just it's going to be the shtick for this whole series. No matter how many times you watch, it just makes sense. All the old people are 192, and all the young guys are 12. What's going on? But yeah. So Collins, I give players that are going to other former New England coaches a maybe on maybe they could flourish there because again it's a former New England coach, somebody who they have familiarity with.
Yes.
So at least maybe they know how to get the best out of the player.
Keyword, maybe.
One of the things with the Lions, though, the guys who walked away, the Packers, their division rivals signed Ricky Wagner for like half of what they would probably have to sign Bulaga for, who's now going to walk in free agency.
Now, that's the one that I was like, Bulaga's about to walk. I was like, whoa, because Bulaga was a main staple on the offensive line. Granted, he had injuries along the way, but he was a man. So I'm like, okay, are they gonna go back and get him? Are they just gonna let him walk? Like, what's gonna go on with that? What do you think with that one?
Oh, Packers are letting him walk at this point.
Okay.
And honestly, I think it helps the comp pick formula, right? They let him walk, and they signed two guys who were cut. So those guys don't count against the comp pick formula. So whoever signs Bulaga to say like a $10 million a year deal, well, they're going to get a fourth or a third rounder out of, whoever pays him a bunch of money, they're going to get a pick out of it.
Okay.
I could see the Jets trying to do it because they probably need a right tackle at some point.
They need the line bad.
Yeah, so he's going to go to a team that's going to pay him some money.
How old is Bulaga?
31.
Okay.
So on the older end,
2-3-year-old deal,
yeah,
probably.
and he'll last throughout the deal, I think, and then he'll probably retire at the end of it.
Yeah.
So, and then the Broncos signed Graham Glasgow, who is the center guard that left the Lions. Honestly, don't think it's an upgrade to Connor McGovern, but that's just my opinion. I think it depends on the scheme you're running, though. Honestly, I think Connor McGovern might be a little bit lighter, maybe not as good in the run game, but has been a decent pass protector, solid center. I kind of want to see where he lands. It's a guy who I peg for the Jets to go after still because the Jets haven't gone after anybody which honestly is a good way to win. Like I was saying, good free agency wins are when you wait out the game. So
and then you go pick up whatever's left out.
Yep.
Okay.
One corner, we already talked about Byron Jones. There's another corner who got signed. James Bradbury.
Which
Carolina Panthers corner, who is now with his former GM who drafted him, Dave Gettleman, in New York.
Another CYOB?
Cover your
own butt?
Cover your own butt. I think it's more along the lines of him going for guys he's familiar with. So, he drafted him. He did well after he drafted him. It's kind of going after your own guys. We see it with GMs all the time. They like their guys they drafted. They get to know them, and they see them play well, and they go, listen, I did well with that guy. I'm going to bring him in here and make me look good. Listen, Giants need coverage guys. I was a little, I don't know.
They need more than coverage guys.
They need everything.
Everything, yes.
Jimmy Graham previously released by the Packers.
Now he's in Chicago.
Now he's in Chicago. $9 million deal.
Eh.
I don't see it really doing anything for anybody.
No, that's just money just being thrown out the wall for me. Jimmy Graham he doesn't like to block. He's basically going to be a receiver.
He's also going to be a slow receiver.
Yeah,
he's going to be just a slow tight end who just kind of lost. His thing was he could block out the sun. He was able to out jump everybody. And guess what? He can't jump anymore.
No,
he don't have the hops. I don't know if that. He's not a bunny. He's an old man. He's the old bunny now. Yeah. He's got a crutch and everything. He's just not.
I don't look at him as that guy again.
No, he lost that step like 3 years ago. He tore his patella tendon. He was lucky he came back for a year. He's been playing 3 years since then. I just don't think he's not staying anymore. I think his staying power is gone.
Didn't Chicago sign a quarterback recently too?
No, they were rumored to be tied to Teddy Bridgewater. Then there's rumors to them being tied to Andy Dalton and Nick Foles.
Yeah, I think it was Andy Dalton. I think they're trying to go after.
Well, now that's the rumors, Andy Dalton. But previously, I think the day started out with Teddy Bridgewater, and it's ending with either Nick Foles or Andy Dalton.
Where's Teddy at? He's still floating out there.
He's still floating. He's still out there. As far as when we were recording the podcast, it
yes.
could totally change.
It could have changed just now because my phone's been going off the hook.
Right.
So.
One of the guys that we had mentioned before with the franchise tag, Shaq Barrett.
Yeah.
He gets another teammate back. He gets JPP back.
Ooh. That's
fun. Man, that's a good pass rush duo, man.
Indeed, it is.
And he's coming back for a 2-year, $27 million deal. Pass rushers, they lose a little bit of a step as they get older, but not as quickly. They tend to last longer.
Yeah.
Like in the pass rush versus coverage debate, the one thing I'll say is that pass rush, at least, it's predictable.
Yeah.
So, and they tend to last a little bit longer.
Usually
guys
with
like
the
Cameron
guys,
Wake and JPP. The coverage guys.
It's a cliff. You don't even see it. Just whoo.
That's the problem. You can't see it.
Look at Xavier Woods, Xavier Rhodes. Darrelle Revis was doing great, and then just whoo. It happens unless they want to transition to safety, but most corners don't want to do it anymore.
And so. Listen, I think it's good. Todd Bowles gets 2 pass rushers.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have any when he was on the Jets. I think he barely had any when he was in.
Ouch.
When he was with Arizona.
Way to stick it to me, huh?
Sorry.
Now
Cooper's staying put.
Amari Cooper?
Oh no, yeah, everybody was talking
we know that already. With that deal with Amari Cooper, but when I look at Todd Bowles. He's going to do wonders with that squad, and that to me is scary. The Bucs, defensive-wise, because they get after it. And you got Devin White back there who's man in the fort. They're good on both sides of the balls. They just need a quarterback. So there's a guy who's in New England, or this guy.
They can't all sign the guy in New England.
I'm just saying, team.
There's a guy in New England. Yes, there is.
He wants someplace to go.
Only one team gets that guy.
And there's also, if you don't get him, there's a guy that was part of the Chargers. He's a little gunslinger shy, but hey.
Well, I heard the Bucs were really interested in Tom Brady.
Hey, listen. What can I say? You already have the pieces there. But did they move O.J. Howard or they're not moving him yet? Oh, you don't know?
I have not seen anything with them getting O.J. Howard.
Okay.
I did just see right now the Texans have signed Randall Cobb to a 3-year, $27 million contract.
But I thought they were cash strapped too.
No, they had a little bit more money.
Okay.
And then you think about it, they're losing Hopkins and they're getting Randall Cobb. Yeah, that's right. That's a good trade-off, Cobb and Hopkins. We're not going to
get there just yet. We'll get there later on. But,
Oh, that's right. We haven't gone over that yet.
No.
That's why I was like, do we have any other ones that we have to go over? We don't even have to worry about that. We haven't gone into the biggest deal of the day.
We're not
the one that blew everybody's mind.
The one that made me get up like, are you kidding me?
Wow. There's one team left, and then we'll get into the Houston Texans.
But so with the Bucs, if they can get the good quarterback, because I thought they would have gone after Mariota too. I would have thought that he would have tried to do some with Mariota. But
there was rumors with them with Phillip Rivers, and now I think the thing is, I think Rivers is really tied to the Colts, because Frank Reich was his former coach, so he's got ties with Frank Reich, and I think that's a really good fit for him. I don't think he would fit well in an Arians offense. You need a guy who could push the ball down the field. That's why I also don't think that really Brady fits very well in that offense either. I honestly don't know who. Honestly, Mariota would have been probably the best of the guys left if you're not re-signing Jameis.
Unless you want to get Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, that was the big rumor, was that Teddy Bridgewater was the guy they had on the back burner. It was the guy who is their backup plan, is to go after Teddy Bridgewater.
We'll see.
If they don't get Brady, if they don't, get one of the guys that they're really looking for.
Because you got some dogs for receivers.
They got great receivers.
Let that ball go. And you got good tight ends.
And they got a good defense. They got great tight ends.
The running back,
it's time. It is time for this team to take that step forward.
It is. The running back.
It's now or never.
Well, the running back. Running back for me is like this.
Yeah, but a good draft for running backs.
Yeah,
such a good draft for running backs.
Yeah.
I've said it 1,000 times. There's about 5, 6, 7 guys deep in this draft that you're going to get in the second, third, fourth round that you're going to be happy that you got. Whether it's J.K. Dobbins or Jonathan Taylor, or DeAndre Swift, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Zach Moss. There's just so many good running backs in this draft. So that is something I'm not worried about. Teams needing running back, or you could trade for a running back. I hear the Browns have 2 of them that are really good.
They did tender second round tenure on Kareem Hunt. So
yes, so I'm thinking they're probably looking to trade him.
Yeah,
because they could always use an extra pick, and you know what? If you want to get Kareem Hunt, we don't mind the pick, and we'll go forward taking a shot on a guy in the draft. Like I said, it's a deep draft.
Second round pick, that kind of steep for me.
Well, that's the tender, so that's your negotiating spot. Is hey, we get second round pick. What are you really asking for the guy? What about a third rounder?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they would mind giving him up for a third rounder.
Yeah.
One last team before we get on to the crazy deals of the craziest deal of the day.
Yes.
Seattle, real quick, re-signed a couple of their own. They tendered Jacob Hollister for a second round pick. And they re-signed Jaron Reed, D tackle, who actually at the end of this deal will still be 29 years old and be able to get back on the free market, man. That's a great deal.
Yeah. To go back and, get some more your money.
Seattle was a quick one. Actually, they were one of the rumored ones to get Stephon Diggs.
Really? And they didn't pull it off?
I don't think they wanted to trade a first rounder. Or Bills outbid them. That's what happens sometimes.
Who do they have right now? Because I know Seattle is kind of stacked at receiver.
Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf.
Didn't they get somebody else recently too?
Don't know. I
gotta look back. I
don't think I don't think they've signed anybody recently, but they had.
To get no, it was Greg Olsen.
Oh yes, that's tight end.
Yeah. They're gonna get him because he was cut.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. So you guys probably heard the deal, right? You can. This is your favorite deal of the day.
I woke up this afternoon from my glorious nap because I have no gym to go to because of that COVID-19. So I was like, okay, whatever. And then I looked at my phone, and what did I see on my phone from Adam Schefter? The Houston Texans traded DeAndre Hopkins. And I said, what? For who? Who might that be? Arizona Cardinals, David Johnson.
David Johnson.
The same David Johnson that got replaced by Kenyon Drake for Miami.
Yes. Now, keep in mind, Arizona did throw in a kicker here. They didn't throw in a kicker. That would have actually probably been useful. They threw in a second-round pick, which I've heard the Bucs have used on a kicker before.
But the same David Johnson that was hurt ever since Bruce Arians was there hasn't been right since then. And you got him for DeAndre Hopkins. Now, DeAndre Hopkins is a baller, okay? He's a baller. The man's going to be a Hall of Famer by the time his career is, I think, personally.
Yes.
He is a baller. The man's played with 5 different quarterbacks. 5. Has made Pro Bowls with 5 different quarterbacks. And you traded him away for David Johnson. Now,
and a second rounder.
You know my saying, Walter. I've always said it and I will say it again. You don't trade around talent. Texans,
don't give up on great players, everybody.
What are you doing? Why did you give Bill O'Brien the power that you gave him? Doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. It's the dumbest move I've heard in a while. I've heard some dumb moves. I've heard a lot of dumb moves. This, by far, is the silliest move I've heard. You're going to put Deshaun Watson in trouble. Kenny Stills is okay. Will Fuller gets too hurt. He's okay. They're not DeAndre Hopkins. Do you see a DeAndre Hopkins on that squad? Do you see DeAndre Hopkins in the
they do have Kiki Cutesy and that Darren Fells guy.
Are they DeAndre Hopkins?
Probably
Walter?
not. No,
they're not DeAndre Hopkins. What are you doing?
What about David Johnson? David Johnson's not DeAndre Hopkins either.
Fantasy wise, listen. This is not fantasy football here, where you need a receiver quick on the pie to get around. This is not that. Texans, if I'm your fans, if I'm season ticket holders, I'm going to call them right now.
Get a GM.
I'm canceling my season tickets. If I'm you guys, cancel, because he's going to ruin you guys. Deshaun Watson, listen. If you could, you should get on your knees right at Bill O'Brien at his knees and kiss his feet and say, listen.
But wait. Didn't they just sign Randall Cobb? I think they're all fine now.
Get on your knees and kiss this man's feet and say, please bring him back, because it doesn't make any sense. It's a horrible move. You're going to step backwards right with this move right here.
All right. I totally 100% agree with you. Devil's advocate, can you run a fun offense without Hopkins with all the players that they're going to have now? Plus, now an extra second-round pick.
No.
Because you're going to have David Johnson, Duke Johnson. You have Johnson and Johnson.
Yes. And
which is actually, I think, the other team, that the Jets owners.
And you still have Carlos Hyde.
But no, he's walking.
He's walking? Yeah. Okay, but still, they're not DeAndre Hopkins.
But now you're going to have Randall Cobb. You're going to have Kenny Stills. You're going to have Kiki Cutesy.
You're making this a joke. It's not funny. I'm not a Texas fan. I'm actually sad because, like, for example, Shannon Sharp says this often. Even Stephen A. Smith says it.
I'm excited for the Arizona Cardinals. Right? Like, imagine this. They're going to have Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins. You know who could use DeAndre Hopkins?
Anybody.
The Texans.
Anybody can use DeAndre Hopkins right now. Anybody.
And Christian Kirk. They're going to have Christian Kirk
could use him. But like
and they also have that, who's the running back, too?
Yeah.
Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, so you have solid in Arizona. Arizona's set. Arizona basically walked up to them and said, give me $1 million, I'll give you $5. Like, okay. No problem. And just said, okay, bye.
Oh, and they still have a top 10 pick. Everybody.
Yes. So, they
didn't even trade a first rounder for it. They got a top 10 pick.
You let go a second rounder and for DeAndre Hopkins and David Johnson? Are you kidding me? Are you serious? This can't be real. This was supposed to be fake. When I heard this, I dropped my phone. I had to be said it like 5 times. It's bad when everybody's saying it's bad. When I mean everybody, all your friends, all the ESPN's experts, all the Yahoo experts, all the Pro Football Focus, everybody's like, this is a horrible move. Because DeAndre Hopkins to me is like deodorant, okay? And you're walking around, you stink, and you have deodorant and all, it masks your odor. That's what DeAndre Hopkins, he's your deodorant, he masks your odor. And you let him go for David Johnson. I just don't get it.
And a second-round pick.
Walter, I need you to help me understand, how does this equate? Because this
is a horrible idea. I 100% agree with you. The Texans, listen, Bill O'Brien has been kind of like the crazy man at the helm. Right?
Yes. You don't give that guy that much power. You don't do that. You don't have a coach being a GM unless you're New England. Okay, then that makes sense. But he's not Bill Belichick. Like, I know the owner died, right? The original owner, he died. The son takes control. Please, son, do us a favor. Take control. Go there.
Take it away from Uncle Billy.
Hire a GM, because you're going to ruin yourself. You're going to ruin Deshaun Watson, too. He's going to get hurt badly. He's going to get picked out the wazoo. There's not a number 1 there to help him stretch the field. It's horrible, because I don't look at Texans like, okay, their second and third guys are like a 1A, 1B to Hopkins. Hopkins is like the ultimate one. There's no 1B, 1B, 1C, 1D. There's nothing there. It's just bad. It's really bad. Bad all around.
It is.
Really horrible. Like, I know I'm venting right now and I'm getting upset because I'm not a fan.
Well, I think they're probably going to go after a receiver in this draft. And it is a deep draft.
It is a deep draft.
But they're not. They also, here's the funny thing, they don't have a first-round pick either.
No. So what are you going to do? Wait till the second round, you're going to find a baller that's going to match DeAndre Hopkins? There's no receiver in the free agency market.
To be fair, DeAndre Hopkins was... Well, no, he was a first rounder, wasn't he?
No, I think it was a second.
Was he a second?
I
can't remember.
Let me see something. I know he came from Clemson. And he was balling with Sammy Watkins and the alien kid out there.
For a second, I thought he was a second rounder, and now I'm like backtracking myself.
Yeah, maybe look it up.
Yeah, here's
DeAndre
the thing.
Hopkins.
Here are some matching news articles.
All right, let's look this up now. He was drafted in. I'm gonna look at the Wikipedia. They'll tell me where this comes from. I think he was drafted in the first round. First round pick 27. So late first, early second, basically for him.
Yeah.
So I don't give a damn that my head coach and my star receiver don't get along. You make it freaking work, okay? You make it work. You don't let go of talent. And he's like 27 years old. It's not like he's like 31, 32. He's 27. Gonna be 20 in June. Are you kidding me? He's not even his prime.
Well, considering
yet.
Stephon Diggs just went for a first.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at the Minnesota. I'm looking at the Houston Texans.
Odell went for a first, a third, and a safety.
You got a second round pick and a washed up running back for a Hall of Famer who's not even past his prime yet. Had no injury histories whatsoever. The man's been balling. I could be a quarterback back there and I can ball with him out there. Are you kidding me?
Literally, there was Brian Hoyer who was a quarterback, and it was doing fine with DeAndre Hopkins.
Yes.
You just throw it to DeAndre Hopkins.
Just throw it up.
The only guy who couldn't make DeAndre Hopkins look good was Brock Osweiler.
Oh, there you go. That's about it. But other than that, like I don't. You don't trade talent. I don't care how. And if you do trade with talent, you get compensated greatly for it. Okay? The Browns got Odell Beckham. They had to give the Giants a boatload. The Bills just got Stephon Diggs. They had to give a boatload. But the
Brandon
Texans,
Cooks was traded for a first-round pick twice.
Twice. But the Texans just got a second round and David Johnson. And you already had two running backs back there. So
you know who else went for a second-round pick?
Who?
Mohamed Sanu.
I'm gonna walk away the set because I'm really upset right now. Because I don't get it. I you gotta help me understand. Like what? Like
no one's gonna help you understand Bill O'Brien because Bill O'Brien doesn't understand.
This is what I understand, right? You said earlier, teams have a certain direction. What direction is the Texans going in by getting David Johnson? Are you not going to be a running team now? Do you have enough linemen to run a zone run scheme or a run blocking team or something like that to compensate for losing DeAndre Hopkins? Because if I'm a defense now, guess what I'm going to do? Oh, this is what you have for my corners? I'm going to put him on my island. I'm going to come after your guy. Watson, he was already killed last year. He was getting crushed. Now you're going to kill him. He even hit worse. I just feel sorry for you, Texans fans. You're going to be 5-11. Guaranteed. I'm sorry. Because DeAndre Hopkins masked it.
Well, that's a good thing for the Miami Dolphins fans then.
Yeah, because now you get
Miami Dolphins have to love it every time the Texans screw up.
Because they're going to get a higher pick in the next couple seasons. Because you just
they get a first and a second next year for that Tunsil trade. Oh my God. Yo, it's like the poor keep on getting more poor on this one. Instead of the rich getting richer, it's just like the Texans are like, here, we'll give up more picks.
I gotta have a seat because I'm getting a headache.
Dude, this is a fun, crazy day.
I think you just let me ramble off, and it's bad. It's really bad. This is a bad move. I said it earlier again. It's a bad move. I'm gonna say again. It's a bad move,
but it made it so much more interesting.
Because
today.
now
we had 3 first-round picks traded today.
Yes, but it was traded for no. Oh my God, Texans! You better know what you're doing, Bill O'Brien. Like I've argued with my friends.
No, he doesn't know what
he's
doing.
I've argued with my friends in group chats before, and I for months when he became the GM, I said this is a horrible look, and all of them said you gotta wait and see. Trust me, you're gonna be surprised. I said. I don't believe this guy. He's not Bill Belichick. If your head coach isn't part of Bill Belichick's pedigree, or if you're like Andy Reid, you don't deserve to be a GM and head coach. I don't care. You don't do it. But they did it. And now you're going to screw yourself for years to come. Deshaun Watson is screwed. Okay? He's going to get hit a lot.
I think they missed their window last year.
It's done. It's done. And now you're going to rebuild with no receiver number one. I don't unless you know there's a DK Metcalf in the second or third round that you're gonna peel off to match what DeAndre Hopkins does, which is rare that you're not gonna happen. But hey, good luck, Texans. That's what I say.
Good luck, Texans.
Because you're in the AFC South and that division is terrible. But Tennessee to run all over you guys again. It's horrible. It's a horrible move. A sad day for the Houston Texans.
But I think that's a great note to leave it on. It's a sad move.
It's a sad move. And DeAndre Hopkins meant a lot to the Houston Texans as a community, for Houston, it was doing wonders down there. And because Bill O'Brien is heads up his butt, he can't get stiff things together. And you're going to screw this whole thing down, and it's going to go bad. That's all I got to say. It's going to go bad.
Well, anyway, if you want, you can follow the podcast at Draftvice on Twitter, at Draftvice_football on Instagram. You can follow Kev.
DJ Intence at DJINTENCE on all podcasts, forums, and social media. I'm going to have a sit down. You're going to end this on your own because I'm upset. This is horrible.
And you can follow me at Brojo Death Punch, BROJO. Death, because like we're all going to get the coronavirus, and punch.
We don't hope that, but I don't want that.
Punch, because Kev wants to punch Bill O'Brien today.
In the face.
Like and subscribe. Leave a review. Leave a comment. I'm gonna start responding to your comments on the video. So or the reviews. So leave a review. Leave 5 stars. Only if you leave 5 stars though. And probably be back on, given all the corona stuff. We'll probably be back on relatively soon, talking about the rest of this free agency because it's the only thing anybody can talk about anyway.
Yeah.
Peace.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous about the past and about the future.